Hey guys, what's up? Blaine Cooper with an important message on division. I encourage you to like and share this video, as this message is for everybody, myself included. Jesus said, any kingdom divided against itself will not stand. The most destructive force in this movement is other patriots, or patriots fighting patriots. Never in my life have I seen people treat people so horrible than in this movement. The sad and harsh reality is Black Lives Matters group and Islamic terrorist groups such as ISIS bond together and thicker than other patriots do to each other. We're brothers and sisters in this movement. We have to unite together and put aside our differences. Not everything we do you're going to agree with, but it's not worth destroying the movement over. We need each other. We need to lift each other up, encourage each other instead of bring each other down. We're all guilty of it. So I encourage you going further in this movement, put aside your differences and stop treating each other so terribly. We're all in this together. If we want to win this fight, by God, we're going to have to make some changes. Whether it be 3%ers, oath keepers, whoever you are in this movement, patriots, you're all fighting the same cause. Start going to bat for each other instead of throwing each other on the bus when something doesn't jive with your political view. Stop condemning each other and condemn those who condemn the Constitution. Condemn those who bring forth tyranny. Condemn those who try to overthrow our sovereignty. And condemn those who would subvert freedom. That's what needs to happen. You guys fight and attack each other instead of the enemy who's trying to destroy our country. It's time you guys started finding a way to get together and unite. When we're united, nothing can stop us. This is Blaine Cooper. The message about unity and division. I'm out.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello.
Life for me is all about the hustle. I remember the first time there was 4,000 people at a party I did. It was insane. What started as a company of one DJ is now a company of 100. Every time I pull out my BlackBerry, people are like, what is that? Next thing you know, they're asking where to get one and if I can hook them up. My life is nonstop. I'm always on the go, and anything that can help me become more efficient is key. My name is Sujit Kundu, and this is my BlackBerry story.
Alright, we're getting it worked out now. I had to resend out the YouTube link, and we're coming through a bit choppy. So I'm going to see what I can do to minimize that. And hopefully that'll help a little bit. I don't want to do announcements yet until we have the audio figured out. Alright, so that should be better. We adjusted bitrate, bandwidth, blah, 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 blah. We have ABF, the All About family. They are going to be joining us on the 4th, along with possible Black Bloc group, along with Militia, and former Militia, and activists, and anonymous, and protesters, and gonna have a ton of people out there. Come to find out, we didn't have to have some catastrophe, more or less, to come together on this. It's been a little bumpy, but let me read to you guys what we have This was put together today, and this is the update for the event. Well written, I might add. But here's the description and the reason, and so if you had any questions as to, what the deal was, here it is. Just to give an event update for all those who were unable to tune into the radio show a while back. And I see we have a lot of new people jumping on board as well. This is an event for freedom that everyone can get behind. You don't have to be in a group or have a cause or agenda. Helping to keep our constitutional rights in place is probably one of the most important things we can do as Americans. This event was sparked due to the events that occurred on Million Mask March on November 5th at our Statehouse. Peaceful protesters were attacked by the state troopers on the steps of the Statehouse. This was directly after we had gotten permission to be there, as long as we did not have sticks, also known as flagpoles. Excuse me. We complied. Went up on the stairs, and before most even had a chance to sit, the trooper commanded us to disperse or be arrested. During his commands, he is coming up the stairs, giving no time to comply, and even those who immediately got up, the troopers began pushing and pulling people down the huge flight of cement steps. No regard for the law, or safety, or to treat us with an ounce of dignity. Keep in mind, we have been coming to the Statehouse for rallies and protests for going on 2 years without ever having any kind of issue until this day. This day, the troopers decided to incite violence and turned a completely peaceful rally into an intense, aggressive, heated situation. The women of the group, most filming for independent media sources, including Awakened Media and The Fifth Column, received a lot of attention in the way of shoving and basically being manhandled. The men of the group got the same abuse and tried to stand up for the women and did so valiantly. Injuries to the women, including a disabled woman in a wheelchair, were the end result of the troopers' actions. In the midst of all this, we were told we were not even allowed on the Statehouse lawn because we did not have a permit. Keep in mind, we have never in 2 years had a permit. We are told if 2 or more people would like to get together or assemble and speak on the lawn, we would need to apply for permission. This application also comes with a $50 fee. Regardless if you are approved for the permit, they keep the money. So 2 or more people who would like to exercise their freedom of speech and assembly will only be permitted to do so after paying and being approved. The Ohio Statehouse offers no waivers for this. If you cannot afford the fee, your rights are denied. This is where the actions of December 4th come into play. Upon leaving the Million Mask March, and really until this day, everyone involved, including those who have watched the videos from around the world, are pretty upset. However, rather than letting our emotions take hold and setting up a protest to yell and scream about how horrible the community was treated, we decided to make something positive come of this. The problem is the permit. We are literally being asked to apply and pay for our constitutional right to speech and assembly at our own Statehouse. This is unacceptable. The Constitution is already in place and has been paid for. Our rights are protected under our Constitution. Furthermore, if a group from the community would also like to utilize the Statehouse grounds but cannot afford the permit, they are being denied rights simply because lack of money. This is discrimination. Your Statehouse telling you that poor people are not welcome there, and that right, the right to free speech and assembly, do not apply to them. This event has 2 goals. One is to have the permit lifted, or at least amended, so that we would notify them of a planned event but will not pay for a permit for our right to speak and assemble. The second goal is a public apology for how they treated our peaceful citizens who have placed a great deal of trust in them. The plans for this event will be a peaceful assembly that will include acts of civil disobedience if necessary. We will meet on the sidewalk surrounding the Statehouse. You will be able to lawfully assemble there. Please feel free to bring flags, signs, kids, dogs, whatever. This is where we need the most support. At a chosen time, a select few will enter the Statehouse and request a meeting with those in charge, and they will be asked to remove the permit and also for the public apology. We have a couple different options to present as far as the permit/event notification is concerned. So they will have a few options to consider. Hoping if we both give a little, we can come to some agreement. Regardless, we will not pay for our freedom in the way of a permit, and we will not request approval for our speech either. Depending on whether or not they choose to accept the meeting or the remedy we propose, will depend on our next steps. If they accept the proposal, then we will peacefully return to the sidewalk, let everyone know, and we can continue to enjoy the time at our Statehouse. If they choose to not accept a meeting with their citizens, or deny altering the permit, or refuse the apology, we will then return to the sidewalk and let everyone know that their constitutional rights are not being upheld at this establishment, and that you may lawfully remain on the sidewalk per Statehouse rules and continue your support efforts. Those who wish to engage in peaceful civil disobedience will leave the sidewalk, enter the grounds, and attempt to make it to the steps. If at any point we are approached or stopped by troopers, we will peacefully sit down and be silent. It is then up to them how they choose to handle the situation. If they decide to arrest a group of peaceful people for sitting on the lawn, then that will be shown across the world. If they choose to not engage and let it happen, then we have won a small battle for the day. The permit and apology will then be revisited in a similar manner at another designated time. Throughout the day, we have shenanigans planned that will be fun. You will be made aware upon your arrival. Things you can't even be mad at, because we are fun, creative, positive people. We think you will really enjoy this day while doing something for your state in the name of freedom. So if there are any further questions, feel free to post them to the event page. Can't wait to see what free men and women look like at our Statehouse December 4th. And that's a really well-written piece by one of the writers for Awakened Media, who is Awakened Media is now working with the Fifth Column. And that would be none other than Miss Heather Lucas. So, wonderful piece, wonderfully written. And it tells you right there. Now, if you look at their rules and regulations, they talk over themselves, if you can imagine that, through the legalese. And they have included the sidewalk as a place that we have to have permission to be in. So, we'll see how that goes, you know. Telling us that we cannot be on the sidewalk, and then telling us we can't be on the lawn. And I mean, really, you know, we're not being unreasonable, I don't believe. You know, we want access to our Statehouse. Now, if you watched the Channel 4 news today at 6 o'clock, they opened up with the story of the Statehouse beefing up security. When the reporter asked the guy, basically why, it's hilarious. Go to Channel 4, NBCI4.com, and you'll see, hopefully they'll have the story up here in a little bit. And that was a big one, so they opened with it, so I imagine they will. The guy just stumbled all over his words. He was like, safety, terrorism, Paris. You know, it was ridiculous. And then while the cameras were running with the mainstream media there, they caught red-handed an elderly woman bringing pepper spray into the Statehouse. Now, pepper spray is meant for you to defend yourself. When they interviewed her, she said, "Oh, that's fine." Now, this old woman, she had to walk all the way back to her car, right? It's not exactly good weather outside, you know, and I'm sure she didn't complain at all. No big deal. But, you know, that she even said, well, you know, if it's to feel safer, if it's to be safer. Wait, hold on. That's how brainwashed people are right there. You have your mace on you to protect yourself as a line of self-defense. You know, now you all of a sudden feel safer after leaving it behind? That's how brainwashed people are right there. And it was right there on the news, you know, unless she's a plant. That's honestly how people feel. You know, well, yeah, I bought that so that I can keep myself safe regardless of where I'm at, because you can be attacked by a lunatic anywhere. Lunatics don't care time or place. They just attack. And, you know, now, in order for her, you know, a lot of women, they'll have that in their purse to protect themselves going to and from the car. That's like the main focal point of the time of they think about, that I'm going to need that, let alone walking around shopping to, going to get stuff done. When you're out running around, that's a good thing to have on you. But when you're working Monday through Friday, you're really thinking about, I'm going to go from the car in the parking garage or down the street or wherever to the building, and it's nice to have this. Well, now she can't. Now all those people are vulnerable to being mugged that go into the Statehouse and work at the Statehouse and all of that, because the Statehouse won't even allow you. Like I said, they caught her red-handed. She had to go back to her car and put it in her car. They said it's all about Paris. I think they're full of it. I think Paris, like 9/11, is going to be the scapegoat for a little while. Oh, well, we don't want Paris. That kind of crap. And, they've reacted so badly to us. So let me get into that a little bit too, because people saw some posts that have been made where I mentioned detectives, and then somebody else mentioned FBI agents. So let me give you guys a timeline of events here. A few months back, there were militia battalion leaders that were approached by Federal Bureau of Investigation agents. I don't know the content of the conversation. I know that it shook them up, a little bit. That was a few months back. Now, as you get to present day, when just recently, when Shane Oranos and I and Nichelle and Christine, and we were all going to Shane's court date for what had happened in Pataskala, there was a guy out front, and he was in plain clothes, and he's got glasses, sunglasses, and as we're crossing the street to get over to the courthouse, we're almost on the sidewalk. He says, "Jeremy, Shane." And Shane turns around and looks at me. He goes, "Do you know that guy?" And I said, "No, never seen him before in my life." And he comes up, introduces himself, says he's Detective Roger Dickinson from the Criminal Intelligence Unit, and wanted to know about December 4th. And, then I get a message, I think like 5 days later, something like that, saying that the militia was going to no longer go out to any protests, anything like that. They weren't going to take part, and this was in a move to protect themselves. And at that point, I pretty much, you can deduce logically that, the cops coming around have really shaken up the militia and really shaken people up. So they really... I put a post together, and I got a lot of responses from it, and I'm going to kind of address that in general terms tonight. If people don't know already, if you're a male between the ages, I believe now it's 18 to 45, 55, something like that. I apologize, my head's really stuffy. You are, and you're healthy, you're able-bodied. If you're a male between those ages, you're a member of the United States Militia, and you're a member of the militia for your republic, whatever state it is you live in. So if you're in Ohio, you're in the Republic of Ohio. And most Americans don't know that. They don't know that that's how it's written, that you're already part of the unregulated militia. Because if you did, if you started to tell people that, they would think differently. They would think of themselves differently. It at least opens the door for people to think of themselves differently. Wait a minute, that sounds like I have a responsibility. Okay, what is that responsibility? Then you start to look into that responsibility. Well, it's the Constitution, it's the Bill of Rights, all the way back to the Declaration of Independence, and really learning about the Fourth Continental Congress, and, maybe go back to the Mayflower Compact and really get into the earlier history and, see how things evolved, in Federalist Papers and, it would force that. It would force that in most people. They would say, "I'm a part of the militia? Are you kidding me? Well, what is that?" And then you find out the militia is the last line of defense. the last line of defense. Now, for the last 2 years, as often as I could, I've promoted our local militias and worked with them just kind of lightly on just different things. Like, hey, establishing a public relations department that is comprehensive and when you have a public relations department that is responsible for the public face of the militia, you want that to be a well-oiled machine. So, we talked about stuff like that. We talked about all kinds of stuff. I can tell you that they work really hard. They really do. Now, that aside, all of that aside, when you look at the activists and the protesters and the ralliers and the demonstrators, for us, we know that the militia is the last line of defense. And we also have a lot of other knowledge between anonymous and sovereigns, constitutional activists, patriots, Second Amendmenters, everybody really, overpasses for America, everyone. We're all waking up. We're all, seeing that there's a much bigger picture here. It's larger than me, it's larger than you, it's larger than any of our groups, organizations, anything. It's bigger than all of us. And that has to be the focus. We cannot afford to focus on anything else. This is why ABF comes out. If you guys are there on the 4th, the ABF family that has been working on, and pretty successfully, I might add, bringing Bloods and Crips together. I mean, that was the original focus, but there were people there from other gangs as well that are really, getting into this and saying, sorry about that. I was having technical difficulties. So, we understand that the militia has a very specific and important purpose. But what good is a militia that doesn't make a public presence? In Connecticut, this last Saturday, there were the Connecticut Oath Keepers with the Connecticut Militia, with the Connecticut 3%. And they all marched together. Now, one of the people who had part in doing that and putting those people together said, this takes a while. It takes a while. And I think Ohio is on its way to doing that. Whatever growing pains we have to go through to get there are absolutely necessary, as long as we get there. But again, that's the point, is if you're in a militia and you don't understand that this isn't Republican, this isn't Democrat, that when we say revolution, we mean changing ourselves, changing the people around us, by affecting their hearts, by remaining consistent voices. It doesn't matter what people want to chalk up to cliche, and it doesn't matter how cynical people want to be, because that's easy. All of us are capable of that now. We're all very good at that. We're all very good at being cynical people. But the fact is when we say that the country is circling the drain, it's not a joke. We take it very seriously. We take it to heart. It's very dear to us that the people around us see what we see. Don't just call themselves militia because they enjoy the patriotism, they enjoy the training, they want to protect their friends and their family. Well, that's great, but that's not a militia. That's not the function of a militia. A militia doesn't just protect their friends and family. A militia protects their country. And how are you going to protect your country if you don't know your countrymen and women, because you don't go in the public eye, because you're too scared, because you're going to lose your job, because of whatever? We can no longer afford to be a fear-driven society. How many people know someone that's homeless? How many people know a couple of someones that are homeless? How many people understand that we can no longer allow this? None of this is sustainable. None of it. Now, we may not be able to do anything here in Ohio about Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Pennsylvania, but we have to take control of Ohio. We have to have control over our own lands that we are living in, that are adjudicated upon, that are legislated upon, that have laws executed on, that do not represent us. You know, we've got to change these things. And if we can't go to the Statehouse under the understanding that what the Statehouse is doing prevents us from free assembly, prevents us from being able to exercise free speech. You know, the Statehouse lawn is also, it's listed as a public park. You know, they have one zone on top of another zone on top of another zone, and then the federal government basically just steps in and says, nope, it's federal. You know, like they're the boss of everyone. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I want my lands back. And for anybody that chooses to put themselves in the public eye, you know what, I should probably turn on my camera. I hate to unveil the big ugly to you guys like this, but I want you to be able to see me, and because it's important that you know what I'm saying is true. I mean, you'll at least be able to judge it for yourself what you think. And I'll apologize again for my ugliness. I'm gonna find my little thing here. Boom, there we go. Okay. I gotta try not to disconnect my microphone again by moving it around. That's what happened last time. So, let me see if I can turn it just a little bit. There we go. All right. So, you know what? This may be easier if I give you a little bit of history as to why I do what I do. I have a beautiful daughter, and I see what she's growing up around and is going to be a product of, and it's enough to drive somebody insane when you see how our country is being it's being liquidated. You know, it's being taken from us by banksters and corporations and all these assholes. And if you guys saw, the Chinese dollar was rated as reserve currency today. If you don't know what that means, look it up. It'll scare you to death. You know, we're circling the drain is what it seems like. And there was nobody saying what I wanted to say, what I thought should be said. No one was saying it. Nobody was coming out and saying, centralized banking is killing us. You know, don't you understand? You don't want the minimum wage to go up. You want it to go down along with the price of everything, proportionate to being able to gain in capital. You know, it's just, you know, all of these just basic things. I wanted to scream at people. I just wanted to say, don't you see that you're losing your country? What the fuck is wrong with you? What is going on? And that's actually how I started. I got on, I think it was MySpace at the time. I got on there, and I was just cussing people out. That's all I ever did. I got on there, and I was like, you stupid Americans, you freaking deserve it. You deserve your enslavement. You're so dumb. You've let all of this happen to you, you know, and you inherited a pile of crap, and you just keep putting more crap in there. You're not actually doing anything. And it was a number of times, a few people had come to me with a much softer approach and said, you know what, you're right. You're absolutely right. But there is still hope. There are people that not only believe like you do, but they're doing things about it. And that's kind of where my activism started. You know, it was like a put your money where your mouth is type of thing. And so that's what I did. I said, fine. Nobody really wants to, I don't want to be famous by American standards at all. I really don't want any fame. To be famous in America is insulting, you know, because then that makes you a Kardashian, you know. And if you want to be included in that crowd, you definitely don't understand what the hell we're about. So you know, none of us are looking for that. But damn it, no one was saying what I thought had to be said. So I just said, screw it. I threw caution to the wind, and I put my ugly face on the internet, and I said, here, this is what I have to say. So that's how that went. if you're going to do that, if you're going to put yourself in the public eye in any type of way, you're an easy target for all kinds of criticism. So know that you're signing yourself up for that. You have to have thick enough skin for a lot of the usual stuff that comes your way. And you have to prepare accordingly, with using pretty concise words, using very specific words. And I've been guilty of not doing that, especially when I'm angry. But I have to stand by everything I say. Especially, look, being a person that just said, no one else is saying what needs to be said. No one else is doing anything right now that needs to be done. So I'll at least give it a shot, and then I find all these like-minded people, and then, this activist network family just keeps growing and growing and growing. And we probably, through 6 degrees of separation, we've probably cut it down to 4.5. It's pretty amazing, and it's amazing to be part of. And I've said this a million times. Look, man, if we get our country back, you guys will never hear from me again. I'll be on the side of a mountain somewhere chilling. And then, if we got to get our freaking lands back again, come get me. But I'll leave everyone the hell alone. I won't have anything to say. That's the thing, is there won't be anything to say. There won't be anything to bitch about. The whole reason why I got on here in the first place is because I was complaining about the weakness in my country. Since then, I find activists, demonstrators, constitutional activists, militia, all these different folks. And I'm, I've been blessed to be wrong, is what it is. But if you're caught up on party lines, if you believe in, just defending your friends and your family, you and yours, you're not a militia, and I think that has permeated in maybe all states, but I can tell you for sure, probably most states, where people compartmentalize themselves and say, well, I don't know the people in the city, I'm not defending them. Well, they're your countrymen and women, if it terrifies you to think that you and your neighbors, if we ever won the day, would be in charge, ask yourself this. Do you believe you could do any worse than poisoning the air, the water, the soil, the food, everything? I mean, would you have done this bad? The pharmaceuticals, pharmacia, poison? I mean, would you have done this? No, I think most of us would do a lot better. So, a lot of these are the reasons as to why we rally in the first place. And when I made announcements that the militia here, the local 3%, wasn't going to join us, and told them, hey, you're a club, not a militia. I was angry when I said it, and I have a lot of friends in the militia, and I apologize for offending all you guys. That I have the utmost respect for you. That's the only time I've ever said anything like that, and a lot of this comes from my own angst. For 2 years, I've been working with the militia, and basically we got sick of the militia not being there. You always have the badasses that show up, and they're at every event. It doesn't matter, dude. Zach Whitman, Christopher Kirby, there's a handful of people, man, and they come to everything, and they'll show up to the ones armed, and they'll show up unarmed, and they'll show up in, fatigues, or they'll show up in everyday clothes, They do it all, because they understand, and they believe, and they're awake, they get it. The problems I think that have happened in the local 3% are not so much the militia itself. I believe it's been the leadership decisions. I think that we need, now more than ever, we need people to come together. And if those things cannot be achieved amicably, then maybe they can be achieved from a distance. So people that don't understand those principles, though, that are still caught up in whatever, we don't need you, and we do not want you. You're too heavily distracted and too easily distracted. You believe in things like, if you show the police respect, everything should be fine. No. I mean, if you own a TV, that's not the case. If you're ever on the internet, that's not the case. we need people who are awake, and that's what Central Ohio needs. That's what we need at the Statehouse. We need people that understand what we're losing. People that really get what it is. If you lose your right to assemble peacefully and you lose your right to freedom of speech, and they create free speech zones down at the Statehouse, which is essentially the sidewalk, but now they're calling it a free speech zone. No, we're not going to take part in that, And if people do not feel in tandem with us, then you absolutely have that right. For the people that do understand what that is, we're standing with you, knowing that we've had a lot of attention put on us. A lot of independent media and alternative media will also have mainstream media, of course, but it's, now we have police, they're wanting to know what's going on. And we never had that before. And this all started a few months back, I guess, with the militia, and then it just trickled down onto everybody. And you know what? And here's the thing. I was accused of, I can't remember how they worded it. Putting people on government watch lists. Listen. No, I'm not a cop and all that stuff, but think about it, right? I promote these groups and these events. That's what we do. I promote them for people to see and hear and discuss and then come to. By nature, what I do is bring attention, and that's what we need. Every group needs to understand that, yes, this is to bring attention. And of course, the freaking cops are going to be listening and watching and the whole thing, dude. I mean, we even kind of said that from the beginning. Do we want that to be the case? No, it's stupid. They're wasting tax dollars on peaceful people, and we know that. But what are you going to do when they're saying that the patriots and the Second Amendment gun rights people and anonymous and constitutional activists, they're saying that these people are domestic terrorists? What the hell are you going to do at that point? I mean, if those people are domestic terrorists, we're for damn sure domestic terrorists. I mean, just by default, we don't even have a choice at that point. So the whole thing is freaking stupid, nobody's going around, but that's the thing. Like, you can say stuff like that about people who put themselves in the public eye because they're an easy target. They're an easy target for blanket accusations. And I don't give a shit. I don't care. Yes, I do want revolution. Yes. Our revolution first takes place in the hearts of people. This only makes sense because you have to have like-minded people in order to revolt with you. That's the only way you can ever have a successful revolution, is if you have like-minded people, if all of you have changed in here first. Now, generally, and everyone knows this, they act like it's not the case on Black Fridays and things, but we're peaceful people. I mean, and I've said this a billion freaking times, dude. We want to smoke weed, play Xbox, hang out with our friends, simple, easy stuff. We've been going to the Statehouse for 2 years. We've actually enjoyed a really good rapport with CPD and the Staties, both, up until that event. And then CPD was still cool-ish. So it was, listen. To all of the people like Joshua Wicks, Joshua Dennison, Joshua Lint, that's all the same guy. To the folks like him who take their time, focusing on people like me. Listen, that's fine, that's great. You did a smear campaign. You tried to tell everybody I was putting them on government lists. All right, can you work on revolution? Can you work on getting things better now? Maybe take some time to fuck with me, and then, revolution. Get things going good. I'm not going to change. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I don't care. I've said it to cops. I've said it to everybody. Yes, I want revolution. Yes, it needs to take place here first. Yes, we want it to be peaceful. We sought out the constitutional activists because we wanted to know the administrative means. And what's the judicial process in which, how do you file through common law to try to get your country back? What can we do? How can we assert our authority peacefully? Constitutional activism is the perfect glove for that hand. You know, like, oh man, you can file this. Did you know that a petition is basically a prayer? That's what it's equivalent to in the courts. And they start telling you about your rights and everything, and you start to see how the country has really been, screwed and taken over. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to try to hurt people in the movement, whether it's me or somebody else. You've got to understand that all of us are sick of it. All of us are. I mean, what divisionary tactic could there possibly be that the American people have not been subjected to yet? I mean, think about media, think about newspaper, think about billboard, think about radio, think about television, think about all of it. We're constantly subjected to all this, you're white, you're black, you're a male, you're a female, you're young, you're old. It's just we've heard it all. And you're going to continue to make yourself look bad. We ask all of you to join us. And, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. We don't even have to like each other, but we for damn sure need our freedom. We have to have it. Our liberty is held in the hands of tyrants right now when it should be held in the hands of the liberators. And to be a liberator, to be a revolutionary doesn't mean that you Ferguson the whole joint. That's not us. I mean, think about it, right? First of all, we would never go to the Statehouse and pick a fight with our own cops at the Statehouse. That's like going to your enemy's lair where they have all their guns, all their people, all their resources, and they can call their friends in to just block you in. I mean, listen, nobody with any brain would ever do that. Nobody. And so that's not even realistic. And if we could get our, country back through peaceful means, that's what we're going to do. That's why we're exercising every single peaceful possibility out there. Hence constitutional activism / sovereignty, common law, things like that. Because why would we burn down our own freaking Statehouse or something like that? Because once we got our country back, we'd have to rebuild the damn thing. And instead of going through all that, how about we go through the paperwork, which now the courts call paper terrorism, but it's paper activism. And you try to hold them accountable to their positions on their oaths and filing sureties on their bonds if they're a police officer and anybody who's in civil service, as a form of checks and balances that was put in place for us to be able to do that, and they're trying to take, they've pretty well just taken that from us. So, we are peaceful people, and everybody really knows that. The militia is a peaceful group. It's a defensive unit. They're force or group or whatever. They're America's last line of defense. So that's if everything falls. All of our military, everything, and then it's just like basically us standing around. That's when you get the Minutemen. That's when you get the 3%. That's when you get the militia. Otherwise, they probably would have, done some shit by now. They probably, you know what I mean? And it's just stupid that the cops and the FBI and all these people would be that interested in spend taxpayers' money to find out that these are moms and dads. These are moms and dads. That's who they are. Now some groups, every group has a bad egg, of course, but they kind of go in and out the doors. You have to realize, all of us, I mean, that's the same thing for all of us. It doesn't matter if you're donning the Guy Fawkes mask for Anonymous. It doesn't matter if you just come out as yourself. Just somebody who doesn't want to see these rights taken. That's the point of it, is that this freedom belongs to all of us. The Constitution defends nobody. We defend the Constitution. We have to fight for it. I hate that saying freedom isn't free, because I think it's stupid. It just sounds dumb, but it's true. Let me turn this a little. There we go. It's absolutely the truth, and we need people that realize the situation that we're in. If you're somebody who wants to go and train to protect your friends and your family, that's fine. That's fine. You have the right to do that. Go do that. That's not what the country needs right now. What the country needs are people that will stand out in the public and show the public that they are there for them. That, hey, if you see that you're losing your country, or hey, if you see that you believe something's wrong, or hey, do you believe that if we come together, we can create something better, we can do something better? Do you believe even just a tiny bit in our own like-mindedness and the power of that? Because if so, stand with us. Stand with us in the cold weather. Stand with us in the rain. It was raining really hard in Connecticut over the weekend, and they went 2 miles in the pouring down rain because it means something. They were protesting letting refugees in without any kind of vetting process. They're like, look, we take refugees in, we understand that, but this needs to have some specific attention where people can't just come in and, open the floodgates and everybody's here. You gotta check these people out somehow. And it's reason. They're only asking for reasonability. Same thing at the Statehouse this Friday. We're only asking for what's reasonable. We shouldn't have to pay money. We shouldn't have to basically beg for permission that can be denied at any time for no reason. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's our Statehouse. I don't know who else feels like this, but I believe all of us should feel like this. The courtrooms belong to us. Those are our courtrooms. The Statehouse belongs to us. That's our Statehouse. It doesn't belong to anybody else. Nobody, not even within the confines of this country, are allowed to tell us otherwise. These are our lands. We pay for that. You realize we pay for that. Like, that's the Statehouse and all of it. Like, and all the new metal detectors and all, that's coming out of your pockets. Everything. We pay for that. So it's ours. I say we claim it. Do we do that through, like how you see the sticks and the Molotovs? No, dude, we're Americans. We have a lot more savvy than that. People should not be so irresponsible to sell people short like that. They shouldn't. That's ridiculous. We have way too much creativity. We have way too much imagination. We're Americans. We don't just resort to violence. Absolutely not. We can come up with some of the most creative protests where there's song and dance and people putting on skits. And, think about it. We utilize the resources that are around us. We have art colleges that have drama classes. There's actors and actresses all through those things. You grab the ones that are politically motivated, you have them come down and then put together a satire skit for when Donald Trump visits again, and it's all, dedicated to him. I mean, these are easy and fun to put together. We can be very creative. We can have a lot of fun, and we can show the cops that, and the legislators and the adjudicators, we can tell all of them and show all of them through our actions that, you're harming the wrong people. Ohio and the people within want to be something different. We are clamoring. We are clawing to be something different. But it will take all of us. It's going to take everyone, even people with badges and uniforms. We need to humanize us in the eyes of the cops, and we need to humanize the cops in our eyes. And I freaking tell you what, dude, you do that, and that's revolution. That's revolution. Because then what are you going to do to us? Because then now every American is standing there together against a very small group of judges and jackasses that are trying to destroy all of us. But their authority only extends as far as the actions that those people are willing to take, propagated and based off of the words of people that are completely non-representative of the masses. Think about that. You would have to continue knowing you're pissing everybody off. And I think we're kind of at that precipice now. I think we're kind of at that turning point now. And it's important that we pay attention. Even if you're an American, in my generation or younger or older, you're an American that inherited problems. You also inherited a lot of beauty. And the potential for for us to be something incredible is right there. It's incredible in and of itself, But we have to grab it. We have to take it, and that doesn't mean that we get into fights. It never meant that. Our revolution has to take place in people's hearts, because then that's going to decide where we go. That's going to decide where we go from here. And I think that when you find that camaraderie and you find that type of love in people, love for one another based off of the love for their country and their lands and everything that we've tried to establish here in our lives, it's worth defending. Now I know there's a lot of fear. I get that. And people shroud it as other things. They shroud it all the time as, some kind of logical, give me just a second. What do you need? These?
The tray.
Gotcha.
Much appreciated.
No problem. Thank you. If you can get me one.
I will.
Thank you. Man, I forgot what I was saying. Something along the lines of if you look at our situation logically, then none of this is sustainable. None of it. And what exactly do we have to lose by coming together, or at least trying? Probably nothing. It doesn't mean that we even have to like one another on a personal level, but it does mean that we understand the importance of standing shoulder to shoulder with one another to fight for the mutual benefit of all of us. And if fighting means filing paperwork, standing in protest, possibly even acts of civil disobedience, then that's what we do. That's what we do. You also inherited a lot of strength. You inherited a lot of strength. We cannot be remembered as the generation to squander that strength. We cannot be the generation to be remembered as the ones who squandered all of that courage either. And the beautiful thing about those statements is that it pertains to all of us, everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. It doesn't matter what color skin you have. At that point, and this is the thing, either people think that we're extreme or they're right there with us, and that in and of itself is kind of extreme. But hence the situation and the times that we're living in. People either think that when you tell them about like the Federal Reserve and fractional reserve currency and stuff like that you're full of it. They think that when you tell them that there was an organic constitution and now it's a corporate, we live in a corporation, not a country, they're like, that sounds, absolutely insane. Or they say, that actually makes sense. Because when you go to court, if you're the one with the most money, you win. We have a million examples. That's just a real quick, easy one. And so people either stand with us or they're like, whoa, you guys are nuts. We all have to understand what it is we've lost, what it is we're losing, and what it is we're going to be giving to the future. And what that really equates into is how we're going to be remembered. How are we going to be remembered? Thank you very much. How will time remember us? When they look back at us, when they look back at our generation, are they going to say, whatever they say, are they going to say it while grimacing through their teeth? Resentful, filled with hatred, because they heard about the freedoms that we had, and then we didn't fight and we lost it. UN troops came in as a police force into our nation or whatever. Why didn't they fight? What happened? Well, they were all bickering with each other. December 4th means a lot. This Friday means a lot. It's not just the unification of a bunch of groups and a bunch of people coming together, but it's Ohioans and it's people from around Ohio and other places standing for basic rights. They're making a statement that says we are also unwilling to allow this to go unnoticed. We're standing, Don't know about the outcome. Don't know how any of it's going to go, but damn it, we're standing. We're going to try. We're going to be remembered in a specific way. We're going to be remembered as people that gave it hell trying. And maybe even winning. Maybe even winning the day. I don't know. Anyway, that's the description and the information. Be there at the Statehouse in Columbus, Ohio, Broad and High Street. 10 o'clock a.m. is when it starts. We did it on Friday because we have to do it when people are there. If we would have went on the weekend, it would have just been to take pictures and goof around. We really need to try to do something here. So this calls on everyone who cares about those rights, whether you're an oath keeper or whatever you are, or just a person. We need you. This country needs you, and we need you to be remembered a certain way. The people you love need you to be remembered a certain way. And it's all of us. To the people who want to harm other people and say bad things about them. I have so much faith in the people that are awake. Because it's a beautiful thing. It doesn't matter what anybody says. people will look into it for themselves. In 2 years, if you go to Google or YouTube and type in Ohio Militia, Ohio 3%, Ohio anything along those lines, you're not going to get anybody more than me talking and promoting and trying to advertise and talk up the militias. I've put together a lot of time and effort in helping all of the groups, the activists, the anons. You got to remember when we were wearing the masks and everything out at the Statehouse, it was big time taboo. Nobody was doing that, and it wasn't cool to do that. And da 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 da. So, we're used to it. We have thick skin. We understand those people are going to expose themselves, and it pushes more people in our direction. And they discern for themselves what they believe about people, and it's been a beautiful thing. So, we appreciate all of the new support that's come for this event. We hope everybody understands that the police have been the aggressive force, and that's really what we want to show. That their unlawful statutes to violate the United States Constitution will not be tolerated. And that doesn't mean we have to go down there with bats and bats with spikes in them, and stuff like that. No, we're way too savvy of a people. Way too savvy, way too creative. We are Americans, after all, and we need to stop selling ourselves short and selling each other short. We have a lot of ways that we can approach this, and I've, a lot of us just, we decided, let's have fun with it. Let's have a good time, There's no sense in always all the yelling and screaming that goes on between people, and it doesn't have to be that way. Let's do what we can and change this and make it something different. So, thank you to everybody, and we'll see you this Friday. Hopefully I won't still be sick. I've been fighting this sinus crap. So I'll be there anyway. I'll see you guys on Friday. Get your dancing shoes on, because yes, we're gonna dance. I haven't, with all of the stuff that's been going on, I haven't had a chance to set up the music the way I wanted to. So we're gonna be doing the music through a bullhorn unless anybody can do something better. But yeah, we have a Carlton off. Whoever can do the best Carlton. And we'll be voting right there. So if you're there, you'll be able to vote. And we'll probably have people voting on the live streams too. ABF will be there, all about family. And they're bringing a bunch of people with them. They're bringing the... if you guys want to be a part of the ABF family, show up Friday and get yourself a Stop the Violence t-shirt. Yes, there's some irony there. We're going down there with groups that, because we're all pretty like-minded, and their shirt just comes out and says it, stop the violence. So I don't know how you could say it's not a peaceful event. I just, you know what I mean? We have a group that has shirts that you can buy while you're down there. I think they're like $15, something like that, maybe 13. Please don't quote me. I don't know. It could be 10. It could be 20. I don't know. But it literally says stop the violence on it. So if you guys want to be part of that movement that's brought the Bloods and Crips together, along with militia and anons and other activists and independent alternative media, Fifth Column, Awaken Media, that'd be your time right there. You can meet the guys, you can meet the founders of ABF, you can get a shirt, which would be another extra layer down there because it'll probably be cold on Friday. So yeah, that'll be excellent. I believe we do have 3%ers that are showing up. We've got people who are former militia members and then members of other militias and just other groups and stuff, and people coming out on their own. Amy Wicks will be there. She's bringing her mom. Anytime they hear there's a chance to dance, they're there. So I think some people are just coming for the dancing. The Carlton off. I think we might even get an electric slide type thing going on. I think Amy said she was gonna have her and her mom were gonna go down there and booty pop. So not real, don't quote me on that. So yeah, finally, right? A lot of interesting groups, a lot of interesting people, in a pretty interesting time. Hopefully the Statehouse will react kindly and give us all hugs and and then we'll just go dance on the Statehouse lawn, and I'll do the hammer. It'll be sweet.
And the Carlton.
And the Carlton. Yeah. So we're just gonna, that's what we're gonna do. So hopefully we'll have a good time down there, and it'll be cool. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, you can put them under there on YouTube, or the link on Facebook. You can put them under there. I'll get to them. I think we're gonna eat first. But thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the different groups. Shane Oranos is still in Licking County Jail, and he wants everybody to contact the judge on his case. I believe Valerie Petrichor from she has the information, his judge's name, and I think it's Judge Higgins for Licking County, to get him out. And so if you guys want to call down there to the jailhouse, here's been the suggestion from Shane. He said, don't when you call down there, don't be mean. Just show him a bunch of love. Just be really loving, because he said they've been treating him great, fantastic, and so he's hopefully gonna get out sooner. Let's give him some help. Let's if you guys want to call down to the jailhouse in Licking County, if someone can get us the email and maybe a line to Judge Higgins, I think it's Higgins. That would be fantastic. We've been trying to get his contact info. I've just been too freaking busy. We are going to file some paperwork on Shane's behalf. I've got to grab that email tonight. So if you guys could make phone calls, but just be loving. Tell him, man, like, look, man, that's our brother, hit the judge up, and say, look, you need to do the right thing. He got contempt of court because he whistled. I don't know if you guys know that, but he got contempt of court because he whistled. He was whistling with his, not even a whistle, but with his fingers. And he got contempt. But he wasn't even in the courtroom. He was in the holding cell. But the judge could hear him. And he got mad because he could hear him whistling. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? It's just crazy. So let's see what we can do. But he doesn't want us to cuss anybody out. So, whoever can help with that, that would be fantastic. So thanks, guys. And I'm going to play this little video here if I can find it again. Let me see. I'm going to try to find... This was a video by... God, I think his name is Blaine Cooper. But if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. I mean, it's kind of an original name. Blaine Cooper. You don't hear that very often. But it's about unity. It's about unity within the different groups. It's 2 minutes long. So if I can find it here, we'll get it up. I played it before the start of the show. Yeah, forget it. I'm not going to look for it anymore. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Like I said, questions, comments, concerns, let me know. And we should be live streaming the day of the event. And we're probably going to... if you guys want me to, if there's enough questions and stuff like that, then I'll go ahead and do another live stream before the 4th and try to get into all of that. So appreciate it, guys. Have a good night. Thanks.